We know that most, if not all of you, are here regarding proposed bonds, specifically the dome portion. And before we get going with the public comments, I wanted to say that this idea has been kicking around the school board since the pre-planning for the last bond in 2017, where we were discussing an on-site field house, predating our current superintendent by several years, just so you're aware. So I'd like to welcome you, and for the public comment period, when called, please state your name, residency, and any relevant group affiliation. Each speaker has a 3-minute time limit. Time cannot be yielded to anyone else. Address all comments to board members. Please note this is not a dialogue. The board will not be responding to comments, questions, or challenges, and our silence indicates neutrality. The president may ask clarifying questions, and district staff may follow up at a later time. Finally, remember you are responsible for your words, which can have legal implications, including laws protecting privacy and prohibiting defamation. If unsure, seek legal counsel. All right. I will go ahead. Was that meant to be on top? Doesn't matter. Okay. Tom, would you like to go first?
My name is Tom Nixon. I'm an honorary resident. Here is sufficient. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So first, I want to start off by saying that this isn't very comfortable for me. I can't imagine it's very comfortable for any of you either. I look here, you guys are friends and family. I consider that you guys are in this whole community together, and it's not fun to do this. And I know that bonds typically like this don't get met with much opposition. Clearly the word gets out and there's some grave concerns here, which is probably justified. I think it's important to remind the board what the pecking order is here, that the board reports to us as citizens. It's your job to represent us, and the superintendent reports to the board. They act, do what you tell them to do. I think a lot of this opposition is coming from just some misinformation. I know there's misinformation on both sides. Nobody's innocent here, but we're seeing things. We're seeing bond proposals come out, and we're not getting the whole story through some advertisements that are coming out. And this just creeps up on people. Like it's the community's responsibility to pay attention to this stuff. And I admit it. Like a lot of us have been asleep on this, right? But all of a sudden, this comes to the surface, and we have major concerns here that I think you guys need to hear. So, I want to tell you guys that I think some of the mishandling that's been out there has been misleading, and it's something that I think we need to work on, do a better job of it. We need to do a better job as a public to come in here and hear this stuff. I really feel like the board is risking, if you take this to vote today, that we're risking getting defeated by a landslide. I feel like that's a bad sentiment on the board, on the community. If we lose by a lot, it just says we haven't done our homework. Okay, so, and that's a lot of work. I know everybody's been working on this for a really long time. To see this go down in a landslide would just be it wouldn't be good. So I'm asking that maybe the board considers tabling this vote. There's a vote tonight, and that's one thing that's been out there, that there is a vote happening on August 5th. But that's not true, because you guys have to call the election. We have not called the election yet. We have an opportunity to table this till November so that we can go get the proper engagement from the community. We're asking you guys to consider that tonight. You have our attention. We're listening. Let's take advantage of that. And I'll come together as a community and discuss what's really right for our community. If we're talking a community center, it should involve everybody. That's all I have to say. And if you don't mind, I could submit maybe a couple of documents for review. I have a resolution from the city council that says that there's an opposition there, a unanimous opposition to the bond proposal. And then I have a letter here from a number of citizens that sort of summarizes what we feel is important that the board consider and deliver to the public for review. Thank you, guys. Thanks for this. Thank you.
Just an idea, if anyone's interested, reading the city thing into the record. That would probably be beneficial, but,
I would be happy to do that if,
well, it'd have to be someone else.
I will.
Okay.
since you're gonna speak, it might be
Oh.
3 minutes.
Oh, never mind.
Someone else.
Oh, okay.
So you can sort that out. Next, thank you, Tom, appreciate it. Next is Susie Swade.
Susie Slade, I am a resident, currently halftime. I teach here, obviously you guys know that. My son goes here, but I wanted to thank the board for Teacher Creation Week. You got us drinks, we celebrated us. Also to the admin, they did a lot of stuff for us. We were very appreciative, we had notes, cards, emails, like ton of stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you, we appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next I have Terry Sanford Jones.
You meet me up there?
If you could.
I can.
I am Terry Sanford Jones, and I am from Gres. I do not need any reply, I don't expect one. All I wanted to do is ask one question, and that is, with a show of hands, how many people in attendance, knowing what you feel like you know or do know now, how many of you here are opposed to the bond with what you know right now? That's all my question is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Angela Bussinger.
Okay, Angie Bussinger, Gres, and 3 kids that attend school here. So first off, I wanna thank you for your time tonight. I'm gonna read right off this paper so I don't stray from my thought process. So I ask the board tonight to table the proceeding with the millage until the verbiage reflects the views of the constituents here who have elected you to your appointed positions. Okay. The dome is being marketed as a community center, then the school has no business with it. The school's job is to educate the best students possible by the year they graduate, and by the school's test scores so far, we are far from exceeding that. If the dome is going to move forward, it should be on a separate proposal, independent of the school's needs, at which time the school should provide, from the beginning, cost of complete build, similar size and district comparison to other areas where domes have succeeded in Michigan, cost of employing staff to operate, maintain, and secure the facilities, estimated expected revenue year over year, protocol for safety on school premises, what the ROI is for the community members footing the bill for this extravagant feature. Will there be stipulations in the bond that all items provided inside the dome be purchased and sourced in the Gres Sims School District community? I would hate to see events taking place in a facility that I and other taxpayers pay for being brought in from different places outside of our community. Where are your anticipated expected growth curves for district pupil population as well as the community residential growth that you're saying you will get from this? Will there be a non-compete clause written in the bond proposal retaining Mr. Ming for a set amount of time to ensure he is not passing this and then going to leave us in the next few years? Concern being this has happened with prior bond and administration. Do you have an exit strategy if this fails? And if so, what is it and how do you protect us taxpayers from covering the cost for the mistakes in the likely event that this fails? Okay. So before you move to put this out to a vote, you owe us some information. We are the people that put you on this board. You cannot go and spend our money without giving us details. Like, that is fiscally, financially irresponsible. You guys know better than that. This district, if we're to encourage the movement to encourage kids to be better, explore trades, if not college, then why don't we invest the money in something more less expensive, maybe build an AISD instead of parting our students 50 miles away to the Bay ISD. Why don't we build something here, bring other students from districts to our district? That would grow our student population. There are students here that do not play sports. Okay, we cannot field a real football team. We cannot keep teams in progress throughout the course of the year. If one kid gets ineligible, we freaking lose a team, a sporting event. These kids aren't going D1, D2, okay? They'll be lucky if they go D3. Education is what's gonna get them somewhere. We don't offer physics classes. My kid had to do a year in college before she could even apply to Embry-Riddle because we don't offer physics here. Okay, our curriculum, I sat on the board I was a teacher, a science teacher, down in large districts in southern Michigan. I sat on curriculum boards. I helped design the curriculum. I helped with standards-based learning. We don't follow any of that here. Like, you might think we do. We are so far from reaching benchmark in that area. There are so many more ways. Invest in training our teachers for IEPs and 504s and help the kids. There are people who do not play sports in this district, and we do nothing to help them. How about we spend some money in this district on hiring an art teacher?
I'm gonna have to stop you there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Applause is not for stop here.
For sure. Next up is Amy Lynch.
Good evening. First thing I'd like to make abundantly clear is that we're not here, or I'm certainly not here to attack the board on any of this. There's a lot of information that's going around that we just don't have any facts, we don't have any numbers. So I tried to write this down so I could get it in the 3 minutes. I looked up domes in Michigan. I found 2 that are school-owned, Northern Michigan and Eastern Michigan, both universities. There were 3 other domes in the state that are corporate owned, that are not owned by a school nor operated by a school, but they are available for schools in their area to rent for games or whatever. This would be the first dome owned by a school district in Michigan, and we're one of the smallest districts in Michigan. So what we're looking for, just to answer some questions before we go forward on all of this, we would like a scope of the projects covered by this bond. We request the bond language as it will appear on the ballot. We'd like a breakdown of cost per item, including cost, contingency, and operating costs per year, insurance amounts, maintenance, operational costs, staffing costs where applicable. Most questions, obviously, are about the dome specifically. The life expectancy of a dome, what is that? Do we know? We have some serious concerns about the wind from the bay. As a crow flies, we're a mile from the bay. And if you've ever sat at a soccer game out here, it can be windy. So what is the structural integrity of this? What will it hold up to? What won't it hold up to? Insurance costs, including liability. Do we have liability issues that are going to be a higher insurance cost if we allow other schools to use it, if it's leased out to a private entity for some event or whatever? What is that? What's that gonna run us? Warranty on the dome. What kind of warranty do they offer on a structure like this? Big question. Would that warranty also have exclusions that might include the issues that we have here with wind? I would assume that an insurance company would come out here, they'd be actually taking a look at where we're located and whether or not it's in a position that it might be subject to wind damage. Maintenance, where's the additional money from that coming from? And I know that we're hopeful, you're hopeful, that there will be revenue that this will bring in that will cover those maintenance issues, staffing issues, security issues, whatever we have to have for that. But what if we don't? Where's our budget right now? And do we have any room to wiggle? Or are we just gonna be coming back to the taxpayers and saying we need a bigger operating budget because we now have this obligation? We have a concern that this will have a negative impact on already stressed budgets. I don't think you guys are operating with a whole bunch of extra money around. Will it be raising the price of the pay-for-play amounts for students who will be utilizing the dome? What access?
I'm gonna have to hold you up there. Did you give a copy of that to Mr. Green?
I gave her Mr. Green, and I believe Tom gave you one.
Oh, I have that same thing.
You have that same thing, okay?
Thank you.
I can't read that fast.
Next we'll have Dan Heinrich.
I got here.
Hi, Dan Hammond, for the Hughes, you know, Matt, you know, I've been an auditor resident all my life. I'm on the city council, and the city, you folks already know that the city opposed this dome project. It'll increase property taxes for another 20 years. Over 60% of the property owners cannot vote due to that they're not full-time residents. They own second houses, land, stuff like that, so they cannot vote to vote for or against. The school board has not had contact regarding infrastructure, public safety, traffic patterns. Do we know if we have adequate resources for water and sewer? It'll add a financial hardship to residents because the cost to operate and maintain is outrageous. Estimated $300,000 to $400,000 per year per Mr. Ming. It'll be located in the city limits. What if it fails? The advertised cost of millage is only $9 per month for a household. It's about $150,000 a year for a house. This is only 1 year. That cost will go up with the rate of inflation, which is generally speaking 3 to 5% a year for the last 3 years. Does not mention the small amount of millage that would come off that would give us citizens a tax break a little bit. If passed by the taxpayers, it'll commit with the millage that we just voted on in 2018. We'll be talking about $40 million that this school district will have to pay in bonds. Aranac Eastern knew that when their school closed, they still had to pay that bond. The new bond was for $11,995,000. With interest, it'd be 18 to 20 million dollars. The cost of operating the dome estimated over the course of the life of the dome to $3 to $4 million. The school board did not reach out to the municipality or the Chamber of Commerce regarding this proposal. All discussions that were held were in-house with very little public knowledge. The bond was publicly announced in February, and they hoped to have it on vote for May. Well, that didn't happen, so now they moved it to August. The taxpayers will be paying for a special election in August because it's not being held in November when they have the national elections. The estimated cost is $10,000 to $12,000 to hold these elections. 7 other townships and villages located within the district have reached out to the city of Eau Gres for a copy of their resolution to oppose the bond. The townships of Eau Gres Township, Aranac Township, Whitney Township, Turner Township, Sims Township, and the villages of Twining and Turner.
I'm gonna have to pause right there. That's your 3 minutes.
Pardon me?
That's your 3 minutes.
Really? Okay, thank
I
you.
said the same thing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now they don't.
Next I have Joyce Hardy.
I don't know how to follow that up, but I do not have, my name is Joyce Hardy. I'm an Eau Gres Township taxpayer. And professionally retired or retired professional, either way. I do not have a problem with the board, members, they volunteer. You guys, this is not your day job. The administration, superintendent, this is your day job. And the board can only respond to what is presented to them from the administration. So this is why we're all here tonight. I feel a plan B, A and B should be presented to the board who represents taxpayers. Needs versus wishes. Then I feel the community forums would help to make you a decision what you wanna put on a bond proposal. So my suggestion, I don't see where 3 months delaying from August 5th to November is gonna make a big difference. The school's not gonna close. So, that's it. That's all I got.
Next I have Patricia Tremblay?
Trumbull?
Trumbull, sorry.
Hi, I'm Patricia Trumbull. I live in Algrave Township and I am also the Algrave Township treasurer. I have a few questions and I'm going to continue from Amy's from there because some of those are the same. I worked for the county for 29 years. I retired with the county. Now I'm working with the township. One of my questions is the current bond right now is 2.35. That's the bond debt. Does that proposal include a renewal of the previous bond, or is it an overlap? Are we going to have two separate debts now, if this goes through? Okay. Also, the previous bonds that were not addressed, for those items, I have heard, and I'm not sure, so possibly you can highlight this. I have heard that there is a bond that is coming due this year, that is coming off. That's what people are saying or anything. I haven't confirmed that or anything. All I know that we have a bond debt of 2.35. And then we have our millage at 18. That is, for the operating. So the accounting for the expenditures on the bond, that should be known also to the public. When one expires, what this language is going to be on the proposal that's being put out. I'm not sure, but I think that tomorrow is the due date for this bond proposal to be taken to the county. Also, on the track, it was stated that this dome, the track is not official size. So that means that there are no tournaments for that. Also, it was also stated that there's not the official size for baseball. So I'd like to confirm that also. Also, is there going to be one proposal or two? Because you mentioned that the roof has to be, something done with the roof here. There's other things that have to be done. Possibly, is that going to be a separate proposal than this dome? Thank you.
We have Roger Schweiderson?
Hi, Roger Schweiderson from Algrave Township. That was some of my concerns that I had that Amy had in hers, so, I thought it was gonna be more questions and answers tonight. It's not, but I just wanna tell you guys, thank you for doing your job. And don't get down with all the badness from our community sometimes. But thank you for doing your job. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma Schweiderson?
Yep, that's me. Ready for this? I'm gonna, first of all, just so the community knows, it's not the superintendent that comes up with the plan, it's the committee that's handling it. Everything goes through the committee, they make the decisions. I was on the 2018 bond. The other bond was coming off, we didn't wanna raise taxes, so we were limited on money. We had an inspection beforehand. with the contractor, and he made a list, and items were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. We only covered ones, and we didn't get to all of them. We had a contractor be fired partway through. It wasn't in the beginning, and it wasn't in the middle. It was about a third of the way through. He took us to court. We didn't have to finish paying him, but in the meantime, we had to hire another contractor, and they had to go over everything that that first contractor did. There was also COVID pricing. So that's why we didn't get everything we wanted or needed with labeled 1 on the last proposal, number 1. Number 2, I know, and I'm just gonna direct this to you guys. I know, because I know what happens on a committee. I'm sure you visited places that have domes. I hope that this is talked about at the meeting next week. I know that you've talked to those domes on how they pay for the expense of the domes, the annual expense. I'm sure, I'm shaking, I'm not sure why. The annual expense, and I'm sure some of that is corporate donors. I just know that you put a lot of time into this, and I appreciate that time, because you don't get paid. You just take a lot of mudslinging. And furthermore, let's go over the whole, what the school is doing on I posted this on Facebook. I'm not gonna go over it all again. But Angie, I know that, and I'm not cutting you down, but I know that physics, they can take a college class. They can take any college class they want. But with our class sizes, it'd be hard to justify having a teacher for like physics. I had a smart kid too. He got a full ride at U of M. And he had graduated with 33 college credits because he didn't want to, I wouldn't let him take a blow-off class. Nope, you're gonna take a college class. So you gotta be reasonable with the size of school that we have and what our options can be according to affordability, right? Whatever. You're sure. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Norman. Those are all the cards I have. Did anybody else want to talk for 3 minutes and do a card after?
So you should read the.
Not unless you want us to keep going.
You should read the resolution, put it on our thing.
Sure, if you'd like to.
Can I say more?
No.
Okay. This district only has 420 students, down from the high of 700. In 10 years, we'll be lucky if we even have a school district, if we don't start picking up
Sorry,
students.
I guess I said no.
He can't
Good.
hear.
I can't
He has
hear.
trouble
I have a hard time
hearing.
You gotta speak up louder.
I thought he said yes.
Well, someone else is up before you, Cory.
Okay, can you introduce yourself?
Joe War. I'm a City of All Gray resident and also on the city council.
Okay, thank you.
And you had mentioned reading the resolution into the minutes, so I'm just going to read the city council's resolution verbatim. Whereas the City of All Gray, Michigan, excuse me, opposes the All Gray City School District Board of Education proposed school bond issue for $11,995,000 to fund erecting, furnishing, and equipping a community center facility, partially remodeling, equipping, and re-equipping the K-12 building, acquiring and installing instructional technology and instructional technology equipment for the community center facility and the K-12 school building, resurfacing and improving the running track, erecting and installing new stadium bleachers, and preparing, developing, and improving sites as currently proposed. Whereas the proposed bond issue would result in a significant increase in property taxes for the property owners of the All Gray City School District, many of whom cannot vote due to the residency requirements. Whereas the Board of Education has failed to demonstrate a clear need for all of the projects proposed on this bond issue, justify the cost associated with them, have not demonstrated a definitive plan to sustain the estimated cost of operation and maintenance of the community center, and have not been forthcoming on the actual millage calculation. Whereas the location of the proposed project is within the jurisdiction of the City of All Gray, which has concerns regarding the short-term and long-term impact to the city's utilities, public safety, traffic patterns, along with additional non-bond expense to its taxpayers. Whereas other funding sources such as state and federal grants or school district budget allocations could be utilized for the projects. Whereas the proposed bond issue would create an additional financial burden on taxpayers who are already struggling with everyday necessities such as housing, utility, and food expenses. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of All Gray Council opposes the school bond issue as proposed and recommend the voters reject the proposal on the August 5th, 2025 election. Be it also resolved that the City of All Gray may support the All Gray Sim School District as they seek other funding options for proposed projects. Ayes were unanimous, nays were none, absent was none. Motion approved and then certified by Levon. One quick point, I just want to say that it was our understanding at this meeting when we voted on this that the bond was already, it was like set in stone. It's going to be an election August 5th. Didn't know that this had not been submitted. It was not to that point yet. So that was part of the driving force for us doing this. Had we known that it wasn't quite to that point yet, we might have done something different. But information has not been all that forthcoming. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe. If you could just jot your name down on a card before you leave. Sure. If you can remember, just so. Yep. We have that. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak before we come?
I just have one question. Like, what
Did you
is
have
the
a-
actual cost?
did
I'm
you have
sorry,
a-
I'm
did you
Leisha,
have a-
I live in the township of All Gray.
Okay, we won't be
And
answering any questions.
That's fine, I understand, but I'm just putting it there, so. What is the actual cost of the dome portion compared to the rest? You know, I think everybody else covered everything else that has to do with this, but, yeah, what is the difference?
Right.
Yeah, just break down.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Derek. I live in All Grays Township. All Gray Township lacks the infrastructure currently as high-speed internet as well as natural gas. I know several low-income citizens, seniors, grandmas who can barely afford their monthly payments. They're paying up to $400 just in energy costs. And with all the infrastructure investment with Consumers Energy recently, it's going to escalate our energy costs. It's already been projected to almost double in the next 25 years, the energy costs alone. So these are things that residents here are already struggling with, just paying their, just barely making ends meet. And then we have, other things going on in the township, whereas like people might get served notifications of blight because they can't clean up their yards, and they might get a $500 ticket. So there's a lot of things that are going on that this is just an extraordinary expense that is unnecessary, and I think the board and the school should focus on the education of the students rather than this athletic dome. Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name's Nikki Cubic, I'm an Aubrey, Aubrey resident. What's the difference between, Standish has a big, say barn complex, I think it is. They have a practice complex, has a weight room, batting cages, greens that the kids can practice in. Couldn't we look at something like that instead of a big dome? Because that's what we're pretty much gonna use this for, because the gym isn't, the field's not big enough. We're not gonna be able to, have softball, baseball games in there, and there's not gonna be any spectator areas. There's not gonna be any bleachers or anything in there. So couldn't we look at something smaller? I'm not for or against this because I don't have enough information, but we could look at something smaller so that we can have facilities for them to practice inside when it's too cold. And our softball and our baseball teams can get inside practices during the springtime. My kids did play sports here. I played sports here. And it was cold in the springtime when it came to track and softball, and cold when it was, football time and everything. I understand that and all the benefits to that. And Standish has that. So if we could look at like a bigger like a big barn or something to do that, like Standish does, because it's something that we can maybe see feasible. But a dome, Auburn has a dome, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And I just don't, as a community member, I just don't think it's feasible. And it's just a lot of money. So I just wanted to, just other options that we could do for our students, you know? It can be possible, but just other options.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something. Is that all right?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. She
Oh, you're good. I'm not gonna stand up because I have a panic disorder. Anyway, so my name's Laura Thomas. I grew up here. I do live in Frankenmuth, but I'm gonna be a future owner of a house here because my mom has a trust with my name in it. If anybody needs to see it, I don't really care. I will give it to you. Anyways, so the whole thing is that academics are probably the most important thing at this school that it needs right now. We don't need a dome. Like when Chris went to school with my sister, they had so many different things with academics. My sister and John Stanley got sent somewhere for, I don't even remember what it was, Chris, but like they got sent somewhere for that. There was National Honor Society. My sister was the only person in her AP English class. She was the only student, and she excelled in it, and she was the only student. So you can't say that we don't have it. You need better teachers. You need to focus on the fact that they need to be able to handle life outside of school. This dome will not help them out in life. They need help in life, and that's where the academics come in. You guys are molding the minds of these human beings, and you are getting them ready for life. That dome will not get them ready for what they're going to be getting into after they leave high school. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Laura.
Teresa Spees, Augrey. I live in Whitney Township. I'm off the subject. All I wanted to say is that I hope even with the meeting and everything that we all remember, first of all, that we are friends and neighbors. You know, I'm a business owner in town as well as many people here, and they live here. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion, whether we're for it or not for it. And we should all be old enough and mature enough to be able to talk to each other about it and not turn enemies, refuse to go to somebody's business because they don't vote the same way that you do. I just think that we should be, all should be adult enough to be more reasonable than that.
Thank you, Teresa.
Nancy Hill, concerned citizen. I think we need more information, and also there was no public notice on the door to tell us where the meeting was, and it was kind of lost where I couldn't find it. I had to drive around the school. Not one door said there was a meeting, not one door said where it was at. Plus, I also said earlier, if you can't afford a mic, how can you afford a millage of $12 million? I think we need to be more informed, and we also need to get more informed about, I know there's children in the school that are not getting what they need. Do we have art classes? Do we have all the things that we really need for our students? Do we have our math grades up where they should be? Do we have our readings up where they should be? Are we passing kids from grade to grade with no knowledge of what's going on in the world? Are we cutting out the writing that we should have? Our cursive is gone. Most of our schools are all computers, which is sad. How does children, if you want to write a note to your kids, that's the way to fool them, because they can't read. I think we need to look more to the economical of raising our children to have a better education than a dome. Because I hear in the area, there was a dome, say in Auburn, it's not there anymore. Why? What happened to it? Didn't it succeed? Is it going to succeed here? How many students do we have in this school from K to 12? I worked here for 7 years. Program was closed after I left. There are so many things that I found out when I worked here that children did not get what they needed. And I think it's sad that we would think of going to a dome without thinking of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Davis, Augrey Township. In 1965, I graduated from Augrey Sims. When I started school, kindergarten, Mrs. Ruth Essinger was a teacher. Lydia Beltzing did second grade. We were having class one day over in the little school, and pipes fell out of the ceiling and almost took out a couple students. Then they decided we should build this, okay? And my graduating class in '65 had 48 kids. As of today, I think we've lost 3 of them, but nobody's in jail. Everybody that I know of is successfully retired, and I don't know how we did it without a dome. I think we need to get back to what we really need. We need a school system that works. We need teachers in specialties like computer science, whatever. We'll live without the dome, and we'll do well without it. Let's get to the necessities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Is there anyone else? All right, I'll call the public comment portion of the meeting done then.
40 minutes.